Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Daybreak. I'm Brandon Krasowski.
And I'm Addison Deal.
In today's episode, find out what Point Park professor was recently granted a hefty fellowship.
We'll also tell you about what new medication is being used by Pittsburgh doctors to help treat the Omicron variant.
And let's not forget our reporters Carlo Andreassi and Samuel Parator are here to tell you all about this week's latest political and sports news.
Wake up and smell the coffee, Pittsburgh. Daybreak starts right now.
Welcome back. Here's your campus news, starting with your weekly weather update with Alexa Shawless.
Thanks, Addison and Brandon. Well, Point Park, I hope you enjoyed the warm and sunny skies we managed to get the past few days last week, as unfortunately, it looks like winter weather has come back into play. On the upside, there is little chance in the coming week for precipitation, though we will be experiencing low temperatures as low as 19 degrees this upcoming Monday. There likely won't be any accompanying storms, however, except cloudy skies for the majority of the week with some occasional sunlight peeping throughout. The middle of the week will be slightly warmer, with a high of almost 50 degrees on Tuesday. Overall, though, the temperatures seem to be falling on average in the mid-30s. So, even if you might be safe to put away your snowshoes, I'd still keep those jackets on hand.
It looks like if you want to get any warm spring break weather, you're going to have to go to those warm areas like Florida, you know, the Bahamas, all those nice places.
I unfortunately don't have money to go there, so I will be staying right here. Alexa, do you plan on going anywhere for spring break?
Unfortunately, no, but I do plan on doing some slight traveling to maybe a mall or two, so hopefully it might be warmer in there than outside.
I'll be at work the whole time, but you know, it's okay because at least I'll be somewhere else but here, so you know, that's all that matters.
Exactly. Thanks for the updates, Alexa.
Now let's dive into the news that matters most, starting with your weekly campus news.
Looking for a way to gain skills that will benefit you in your future careers? The Career Center is holding a monthly virtual session on Handshake for any students looking to gain skills for the workplace. This month's topic is Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion in the Workplace, which will feature Dr. Brittany Brinkman, Professor of Psychology and Director of the PsyD program, and Jessica Boston. It took place on February 24th at 4 p.m., but look out in your emails for next month's meeting and the month's topic.
A Point Park University professor is being recognized for her research on industrial animal production. Professor Myron Dixon recently won a $20,000 fellowship from the Tiny Beam Fund, which helps with understanding animal industrial production. Dixon is currently a professor for the Department of Humanities and Social Sciences. She plans on developing an environmental study curriculum for the university in the future.
The Student Government Association is currently holding general elections for the 2022 to 2023 school years. Students are able to vote for each member from February 18th until February 25th, with the voting closing at 11:59 p.m. To vote, one must provide their student ID number, full name, and Point Park email. For more information and updates on the election results, visit SGA's page on PointSync, on Twitter at SGAPPU, or through your student email.
Do you plan on running for student government?
I do not, unfortunately. Do you?
No. But you know what? Even if you're only on it for a year, you can still put it on your resume. So, I mean, it's definitely something to consider, you know?
Yeah, they do a lot of fun events and everything, and it's a great experience if that's something that you're interested in. So it's a great opportunity for a lot of students.
Plus, you get to plan things for the community down in Point Park. And, I mean, honestly, that'd be really cool knowing what's going on down here and any kind of future developments happening.
I agree. Coming up after the break, the newest COVID-19 treatment being administered in Pittsburgh hospitals.
Plus, we'll tell you why you need to slow down when driving through Pittsburgh parks.
And don't forget, our reporters Carlo Andreassi and Samuel Parator are ready to give you this week's political and sports news.
Don't go anywhere, Daybreak. We'll be right back.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening and welcome back to Newsnight. of the student body of the Pittsburgh Public School.
Some of the United States allies.
Thursday, the FBI was seen raiding.
Let's get started with today's forecast.
Today's high will only reach about 31 degrees.
It's looking a little cooler than we've seen in the past few weeks.
All this and more
All this and more
All this and more coming up on Newsnight.
coming up on Newsnight.
coming up on Newsnight.
Welcome back to Daybreak.
Without further ado, here's your city news.
Travel from Pittsburgh to Harrisburg by train will become easier in the near future. According to the Post-Gazette, a second trip to Harrisburg is currently in the works with Norfolk Railroad to provide services with Amtrak. Currently, there is only one trip that departs Pittsburgh at 7 a.m. The new schedule would bump the first trip to 7:30 a.m. and add a second trip departing at noon. The details are still not finalized, but they are expected to be approved in the near future.
Local Pittsburgh parts will soon be dropping from a 25-mile-per-hour speed limit to 15 miles per hour after a vote by the Pittsburgh City Council. This change is brought on by recent studies by the AAA Foundation for Traffic Safety, showing that the risk of a serious injury of a pedestrian by a car going 17 miles or less is only 10%. Councilman Bobby Wilson, who initially supported the bill, said, quote, "I'm looking forward to reduced speed," end quote, after the notion has been passed.
Local hospitals and pharmacies in Pittsburgh are receiving their first doses of a new drug to treat the Omicron variant. According to the Post-Gazette, the drug known as bebtelovimab was approved in the second antibody drug available to treat COVID-19. The new drug was approved by the FDA on February 11th. Allegheny Health Network, UPMC, and some local pharmacies now have the drug. It is currently in short supply since shipments have just arrived, but it will be widely available in the coming weeks.
It's good that they developed a like some kind of drug for the Omicron variant, because it's like the #1 variant out there right now. Like the #1 thing keeping us from, like, you know, no masks and all the restrictions being let down.
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing that they're developing all these new drugs and everything, because, you know, if you do get a severe case, which unfortunately, like, I have a coworker right now that still has the COVID-19 long haul. I mean, having that drug available would definitely, hopefully help with things like that as well. But, you know, only time will tell when we can take the masks off, and this is definitely a step in the right direction.
I agree. Coming up after the break, we have this week's Ray of Sunshine.
We'll PolitiSmack your political news with reporter Carlo Andreassi.
And we'll hear this week's Sideline Slice from reporter Samuel Parator.
Stay tuned, Daybreak. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Daybreak. My name is Sam Parator. With football at an end and my switch over to hockey will come a little bit of a rebrand. So now, welcome to Sam's Slice from the Ice, where I will give you a bit of a recap, preview, and some news related to the Pittsburgh Penguins, or sometimes the NHL as a whole. Recently, the Pittsburgh Penguins had a high-stakes battle with the Carolina Hurricanes when the top two teams in the Metropolitan Division squared off last Sunday with the top spot on the line. The game got off to a pretty evenly contested start, the only tally of the first period coming off the stick of Jesperi Kotkaniemi late. The scoring didn't take as long to get started in the second, as former Penguin Jordan Stahl got the Canes up 2-0 a mere 9 seconds in. Tristan Jarry would lock it down for the rest of the period, and the Pens would get those 2 goals back thanks to Brian Rust and captain Sidney Crosby. They would head into the third period tied at 2 and experience some deja vu as the Canes would strike early yet again, as Jesper Fast would score only 9 seconds into that period and give the Canes a 3-2 lead. They would add another tally late in the period with about 5 minutes left to make it 4-2 thanks to Sebastian Aho. The Pens would try to rally back and would get one of those goals back thanks to Evan Rodriguez with about a minute left, but that would not be enough as they would fall to the Canes 4-3, marking their second consecutive loss. They will look to bounce back in some important upcoming divisional games. They will stay at home to take on the New Jersey Devils tonight, the New York Rangers on Saturday the 26th, and then travel to Columbus to take on the Blue Jackets on Sunday the 27th. Divisional games are always important, and especially that Rangers game, as they sit only 1 point behind the Pens in the division as of this taping. So it is imperative that the Pens get back on track and get back on track quickly. That is all for me, and as always, let's go Pens. Now let's send it over to Carlo Andreassi for this week's PolitiSmack.
Thanks, Sam. I'm Carlo Andreassi, and this is PolitiSmack. The worries surrounding the Russia-Ukraine conflict has now come to fruition, with Russia now doing a full-scale invasion on Ukraine. About a month ago, Russia imposed a threat by moving their troops on Ukraine's border in Belarus, a Russian ally. On Monday, Russian President Vladimir Putin ordered what were, in his language, quote, peacekeeping troops into East Ukraine in the hopes that Ukraine will peacefully hand over their sovereignty to Russia. Ukraine President Volodymyr Zelensky responded on Monday saying, quote, we are on our land. We are not afraid of anything and anyone. We don't owe anything to anyone, and we will not give away anything to anyone. On Tuesday, February 22nd, Russia then deployed troops to separatist regions in eastern Ukraine. As a response, President Biden retaliated exactly how he said he would, further arming the Ukrainian military and imposing massive sanctions on Russia. With these sanctions, Biden targeted the Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline, 2 large Russian banking institutions, Russian elites and their families, and blocked them from borrowing any money from NATO-aligned countries. The goal with these sanctions is to put Russia in a position where they won't be able to sustain their economy if they continue to invade Ukraine. Putin gave a speech that day declaring that he does not believe Ukraine has the right to exist as an independent state, and even further hinted at the idea that he wants to rejoin the Soviet Union, meaning he may have further intentions to invade more of East Europe. Currently, Russia is conducting a full-scale invasion on Ukraine, which has already led to over 20 civilian casualties in the country. Biden announced further sanctions on Thursday, targeting 5 additional Russian banks and completely cutting off Russia's ability to transfer money with U.S. banks. Biden has thus far indicated that he does not plan on sending in troops to Ukraine, but that he will continue to impose sanctions on Russia with further military aggression. Biden has made it very clear that he stands firmly against Putin and stands by his sanctions, saying that, quote, Putin is the aggressor, Putin chose this war, and now he and his country will bear the consequences. What are your thoughts, Addie and Brandon? I mean, this is clearly a massive thing going on in the world. A lot to grasp.
I truly think it's heartbreaking for everyone over there. I mean, they're just trying to live out their lives, and, you got Russia coming over. I mean, I just couldn't imagine their horror over there.
I think our hearts just go out to Ukraine, and it's just a waiting game from now, I guess, just to see what everything happens like after this, especially with the U.S.'s involvement.
Right, of course. There's no reason this needs to be happening. It's a horrible tragedy for the Ukrainian people.
Well, hopefully, it's not, hopefully it's a temporary thing and it's not something that stretches out into World War III or anything like that. But, only time's really going to tell what happens. But again, our thoughts are with the people in Ukraine.
Before we say goodbye, we'd like to share with you this week's Ray of Sunshine.
In case this is your first time joining us or you need a refresher, Ray of Sunshine is our way of starting your day with a smile and an inspirational quote.
This week's quote sheds some light on the concept of leadership.
The quote comes from Donald McGannon and reads, quote, "Leadership is an action, not a position," end quote.
I definitely agree with that. You can have the title of leader, but if you don't do things with your leadership position, how much of a leader actually are you?
There's plenty of times where I'm at work and I'm the one that's leading the team and everything, but I don't get paid anything extra for it. I don't have a position. I'm not going to go on a rant or anything, but I mean, you don't have to be in a position of leadership, really, or get paid for it.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. There's many different ways to lead a certain group of people, and it all comes through action. And no matter your position, something that comes up, people can emerge as leaders in that certain situation, no matter where their position is on a team, in an organization, wherever that might be.
Right, you don't need to climb up the ranks. If you're a leader, you're always a leader. You're a leader when you're at the bottom of the barrel, and you're a leader when you're actually in that position. So I think it's important to make sure that leadership is a mentality and not something that you look for as a position or something like that.
They sometimes say that leadership is, you're born with it, but there's no way you're born with leadership. It just kind of comes to you, and you make it happen. And that's the big thing in life. You just got to make it happen. But that's going to be it for Daybreak. Thank you so much for watching.
You can catch clips from all our previous Daybreak episodes on our YouTube at YouView Television.
Don't forget to subscribe, follow us on Instagram and Twitter at DaybreakPPU. I'm Brandon Krasowski.
And I'm Addison Deal, hoping your news is good news. Have a great day, everyone.